So Marianne Williamson has been getting out there as much as possible, giving as many interviews as possible, but she runs into a roadblock. Now, I've described this before, but just to put it in perspective for everybody, there's a reason why she's not on CNN, she's not on MSNBC, she's not on the main liberal networks all that much. And the reason is she doesn't get invited. You want to know why? Because their strategy is to just pretend that Joe Biden is actually not in a primary and there are no opponents. To the extent they bring her up at all, it is very minimal. They gloss over it. I mean, I think she's been on MSNBC once or twice, and it was like the streaming service, which doesn't really count. When it comes to CNN, she's been on like one or two shows, but it was basically panel shows where they could limit the amount of time that she talks. So make no mistake about it, this is nefarious, and this is on purpose. They are not giving her a fair shake. That's the point. So then she's forced to rely on new media, which unfortunately doesn't have as big of a reach as it should. And she's forced to rely on going on Fox News. Now, to her credit, when she goes on Fox News, it's not to play patty cakes with the right-wing hosts and do divide and conquer. Because, of course, what they want to do on Fox News is just bring her on as a conduit to attack Biden. That's all. They don't care if you're attacking Biden from the right or the left or sideways or from a loop-de-loop, as long as you're attacking Joe Biden. That's all they care about. But Marianne doesn't play their game. If she goes on Fox News, she sticks by her principles and her beliefs, and she makes clear, I got a lot of issues with Biden. You know who I have a bigger issue with? You, Sean Hannity, with your nonstop right-wing garbage. So she goes on Sean Hannity's show, and this is now the second time she ran circles around his ass. So enjoy.
Do you believe the U.S. should have the meanest, toughest, best military with the greatest technology on the face of the earth for the cause of defending freedom? Because when you talk about the phrase, national security is used manipulatively, that sounds to me like you don't support national defense.
I swear to God, man. This dude's talking points basically come from fortune cookies. He is a platitude machine. The Democrats on the left don't support national defense, bro. What does that mean? What does that mean, Sean? Do they want us to get invaded by China or Russia? Do they want to unilaterally disarm and implement a pacifist strategy where even if we get attacked, we don't attack back? What does that mean? You don't support national defense. That's like when they used to say at the beginning of the Iraq War, you don't even support the troops, bro. You don't even support the troops. When you would criticize the war and say, hey, we shouldn't do this war because it's illegal and offensive, they would go, you don't even support the troops, bro. This is like low IQ, fourth grade level, contrarian garbage.
When you talk about the phrase, national security is used manipulatively, that sounds to me like you don't support national defense to the extent we have it.
You're absolutely incorrect. Of course, the United States needs a strong military. The way I see military is like a surgeon. If you have to have surgery, the United States needs to have the best surgeon. But a reasonable person tries to avoid surgery if necessary. 60 Minutes recently did an expose about the profound price gouging of the defense contractors towards the U.S. military. One of the first things I would do as president is to audit the Pentagon. We know that we have a bloated military budget. We have an $858 billion military budget. And you know what, Sean? I do not believe that the Iraq War made us more secure. I do not believe that staying 20 years longer than we needed to in Afghanistan made us more secure. We have to learn how to wage peace. Donald Rumsfeld said that.
The Pentagon has failed 5 audits in a row. Let me repeat that. The Pentagon has failed 5 audits in a row. They can't account for 61% of their money. 61%. We know about the rampant waste, fraud, abuse, and price gouging that goes on. We all remember back to the beginning of the Iraq War, when, would you look at that, Dick Cheney was a VP at Halliburton, a defense contractor. He left there, got a multi-million-dollar exit bonus, and then would you look at that, they start war in Iraq, and they give a no-bid contract to Halliburton. Go watch the documentary, Iraq for Sale, The War Profiteers. You will learn that they used shoddy contractors, paid them $1 gazillion with tax money, and then they made our bases were so poorly built that some of our soldiers got electrocuted and died in the showers. Why? War profiteering. They would charge like $50 or something like that for a 6-pack of Coca-Cola. Why? War profiteering. Because war is a racket, as Smedley Butler said. It was a Republican president, Dwight Eisenhower, who was like, look out for the military-industrial complex. This is nefarious. They want to make profit from war. And Marianne Williamson points that out directly to Sean Hannity's face, and I guarantee you he's not going to engage with it honestly.
More secure. I do not believe that staying 20 years longer than we needed to in Afghanistan made us more secure. We have to learn how to wage peace. Donald Rumsfeld said
how
that.
would you wage
He said we need to learn.
I have a test.
Well,
how would you wage peace and prevent the communist Chinese? They have stated their territorial ambition to take over Taiwan, our ally. How would you stage peace and prevent them from taking over an innocent sovereign nation?
One of the things that we need to do with China is to be careful with the languaging. We don't need to be in a Cold War with China. And the last thing we need is war with China.
But you didn't answer my question.
We need to step back.
But this is an important question.
I don't want to see
What would you
troops.
do if they followed through on their territorial ambition to take Taiwan, our ally? What would you do?
I think that we need to do everything possible to help make that not happen. We do not need American troops in Taiwan. We do not need to be in a war with China.
I would agree with that. Now, last question.
She actually got him to fold on it. She actually, props to Marianne Williamson on that one, because Sean Hannity forgot his idiotic talking points there for a second and was like, okay, yeah, I agree with that. Look, that is the answer to the question. Do you really think any presidential candidate on Fox News on like a random Tuesday night is going to be like, here are my detailed plans on dealing with China if Taiwan is invaded by China? Nobody's going to tell you what we're going to do. You keep your cards close to your chest. And of course, thing number one on the list is let's make sure it doesn't get to that point in the first place. Let's make sure we're not on a permanent war footing with China. If you talk about war between Russia and the United States or China and the United States, you are talking about, let's not mince words here, the end of human civilization as we know it. That's what you're talking about. And the question is asked all willy-nilly as if the obvious answer is, Sean, I would stop them and I'd go to war with them immediately if they were to make a move on Taiwan. God, I hate these talking point machine discussions. And that's all Sean Hannity is.
Replace fossil fuels. What would you replace it with today?
There is tremendous green energy possibilities, wind, solar. There are so many ways that we can compensate.
You think we can? How long would it take to make the transition?
Quickly if we invest adequately. You know, you said a few minutes ago that I wanted to get rid of American energy production. No, I don't. I want to ramp down fossil fuel energy production. I want to ramp up green energy production. We need to make a just transition from a dirty energy to a clean energy grid.
How long in your view would that take?
Well, if you look at the money we spend subsidizing the oil companies, we could take that same money and subsidize the production of green energy. We are Americans. We can do whatever we want. And if we decide that we are going to make a massive transition, a just transition to a clean energy grid, you absolutely can believe it. We have the money, we have the know-how, we have the ingenuity, and we have the spirit. What we need is for Americans to be mobilized, and that is what I would do.
I promise you we cannot replace fossil fuels in the next 20 to 30 years. Impossible.
Well, we have to in order to have a habitable planet. We owe it to our children to have a habitable planet. Our planet is not fine right now, Sean.
Well, there's a lot of bad people in it, but, you know.
Well, anyway. What about the air?
Marianne, thank you. Thank you for coming back. We appreciate the exchange. Thank you, and congratulations on your success.
So they start talking about climate change and transitioning off of fossil fuels. And she's like, we got to do it. We have no choice. We have to start moving in that direction. And his reaction is, yeah, the problem with the world is that there are a lot of bad people in it. Really, Sean? That's the problem. That's the problem. By the way, transitioning to a green and renewable economy is not just good from an environmental perspective. It's also good from a political and economic perspective. Politically, you no longer have to be reliant on, say, Saudi Arabia to get all your oil. Economically, you can actually be the country to get the inevitable patents on the technologies of the future. So we can drive trillions and trillions of dollars from wind, solar, geothermal, nuclear, thorium, etc. We just need to actually do the investment, create the new technologies, and start that movement in the right direction. But they want to be permanently tied to the past. It's like if, when they're working on the first car, if Sean Hannity's out there saying, we need to stick with the horse and buggy, we need to make sure that that's all we use moving forward. We're never going to get off the horse and buggy in a 30-year time span. Don't be ridiculous. It's such a limited imagination. But that's his job. His job is to say goofy stuff like this. And again, massive props to Marianne Williamson, because what Fox is trying to do is bring on Biden's opponents to do divide and conquer. Use her to attack him, to build this false consensus that everybody disagrees with everything he does. See, we disagree on the right and people disagree on the left. But what she's doing is she's going on there, and as she has in a number of interviews now, she goes, oh yeah, no, I have issues with President Biden, and I can tell you where I disagree with him politically, but I'm not gonna do a low blow. I'm not gonna go after him personally. And more importantly, I disagree with you even more. So let's debate. And she does. Of course, the only problem with Sean Hannity is he likes to cut her off every 7 seconds because that's all he knows how to do. But I think she did a phenomenal job. I want her to keep going on Fox News. I want her to keep going basically anywhere that'll have her. And look, I want to bring a tremendous amount of pressure to CNN, to MSNBC, to say, for the love of God, if you're going to pretend to be fair and balanced and neutral arbiters, have on Marianne Williamson. I don't even like RFK Jr., but have him on too. You can't just pretend like we're not in the middle of a primary. Either we're a democracy or we're not. And to be honest, they're acting right now like we're not, because they're trying to pretend like he doesn't have any opponents, and it's absolutely infuriating. But she did a phenomenal job here, yet again, running circles around Sean Hannity on his own show. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.